I'd like to call to order the Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting and welcome everyone. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have several items on the agenda for this evening. Let me just briefly do a summary of those items. First, we have the consent agenda, which would be the approval of the minutes from the September 22nd meeting. We have two public hearings, rezoning case, Lone Pines Acres, lots 1 and 2, and the second public hearing is Toyo Motors rezoning case as well. We then have a preliminary plat for Toyo Motors, a site plan design review for M&M Storage, a preliminary plat for M&M Storage, a final plat for M&M Storage, and then the plan unit development, final plan and site plan design review for the Parkway. Before we get into the consent agenda, I'd just like to go over a few procedural matters in regards to the public hearing process. I will open the public hearing and will call for exhibits from the city attorney, Ms. Yendis. And then the staff will make their presentation in regards to the rezoning application. The applicant will then make a presentation. Witnesses who are in favor of the petition will be called to speak. If you wish to testify, just please raise your hand. I'll recognize you. When you come forward to the microphone, you'll be sworn in. And also please state your name and your address and make your comments to the commission. Witnesses opposed to the petition would follow the same procedure as well. We'll have questions and general discussion. I will then close the public hearing, and the commission will consider the facts and approve or deny the request. This recommendation would be forwarded then on to the City Council for their review and action. So the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda, the minutes from the September 22nd, 2014 meeting. Are there any comments or revisions pertaining to the minutes? Mr. Billups.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Graham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. I'd like to open the public hearing for rezoning RZ 09-14-4576 Lone Pines Acres, lots 1 and 2, and ask for the exhibits from the city attorney, Ms. Yendis.
Thank you. The city has 8 exhibits. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. Exhibit 2, the affidavit of publication in the Blue Springs Examiner on September 27, 2014. Exhibit 3, application with attachments. Exhibit 4, the 185-foot notification map. Exhibit 5, names and addresses of property owners within the 185-foot site. Exhibit 6, copy of letters sent to the property owners. Exhibit 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances. And Exhibit 8, the 2003 Comprehensive Plan. Those are the exhibits for the city.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Again, before you this evening is a request to change zoning for Lone Pine Acres, lots 1 and 2, from LI, Light Industrial, which is currently a county designation, to LI/ADPO, Light Industrial, in the Adams-Area Parkway overlay. The property is located at 1500 Southeast U.S. Highway 40. Again, 2 lots are being proposed. You can see the approximate location. The City Council last week held a public hearing on the annexation of the property, and at their meeting next week will take up the ordinance to adopt an ordinance to finally annex that property into the city limits. So again, 2 lots are being proposed, one at 1.8 acres and one just under 2 acres in size. You can see here how the property lays out. There's an existing light industrial and office use located on the property currently. Again, it is in county, so it is zoned with a county light industrial designation. And the property is intended to be used for some warehousing and future uses, again, splitting it into two separate lots. Again, as you know, along 40 Highway in this general area are a lot of light industrial uses, warehousing, other uses similar in nature, and the current use and proposed uses coming forward certainly fit with the proposed and requested light industrial zoning category. And with that, again, you can see the staff report, and staff does recommend approval of the proposed and requested rezoning. I'll certainly stand for any questions if there are any.
Any questions for Mr. Allen? Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I should note.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Billups?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at the map here. Can you tell me how the two lots are going to be divided on there? I didn't see anything that showed how that was going to be.
Sure. The proposal for the plat will be coming forward at the next Planning Commission meeting. I can certainly defer to the applicant's representative who is here this evening, but would be one lot in the front and then the existing use in the rear. So kind of north and south, lot 1 and 2,
Okay.
generally speaking. And again, there's a shared access at this point. It's kind of faint, you can see here, but there's a shared access at this juncture to the existing use. And I should note again, since the annexation has not been formally adopted at this point, this is a recommending item for the City Council. Again, this is obviously contingent upon that annexation occurring favorably next week's City Council meeting. So in terms of order, annexation ordinance, and then any recommendation here from the Planning Commission on the rezoning will go subsequent to that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you.
If the applicant would please come forward.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony that I speak in this case is the truth, self
I do. Robert Walquist, Walquist, 821 East Columbus Street, Lee Summit. The owner apologizes for not being available this evening, but I will answer any questions that you have at this time. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Walquist? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there anyone else in the audience who would like to testify in favor of this petition? Seeing none, are there anyone in the audience who would like to testify in opposition or have questions pertaining to this petition? Seeing none, bring it back to the Plan Commission as far as any comments, questions that you would like to place onto the public record. Okay, seeing none, this public hearing is closed. All right, we're back up as far as with the commission. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wallace.
I'd like to make a motion for approval for case number RZ 09-14-4576, that change the zoning from L1 County Industrial to L1/ADP-0 Light Industrial Adams Dairy Parkway overlay.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Billups. Roll call vote, please.
Planning Commissioner Abbott,
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders? Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Bartolotta? Commissioner Banks? Commissioner Billups?
Aye.
Chairman Trozen?
Aye. The motion is approved and will be forwarded that recommendation to the City Council. The next public hearing, I'd like to open the public hearing for rezoning RZ-09-14-4585 Toyo Motors. Ms. Shandis, the exhibits.
Thank you. The city has 8 exhibits. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. Exhibit 2, affidavit of publication in the Blue Springs Examiner on September 27, 2014. Exhibit 3, application with attachments. Exhibit 4, 185-foot notification map. Exhibit 5, the names and addresses of the property owners within 185 feet of the site. Exhibit 6, a copy of the letter sent to these property owners. Exhibit 7, Title 4, Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances. And Exhibit 8, the 2003 Comprehensive Plan. Those are the exhibits from the city.
Thank you. Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Again, before you this evening is a request to change zoning on the existing lot located at 1708 Southwest eastbound US 40 Highway. Property is about 0.45 acres. Its current zoning is GB, general business. The applicant is looking to change that to RC, regional commercial designation. The purpose for the rezoning is to propose a vehicle sales lot on this property. Previous use was a Sonic drive-in restaurant and does have, you can see, associated parking and such with that, hard surface and existing structures on it. The use of a vehicle sales is only allowed as a conditional use in both the RC, regional commercial, and LI, light industrial zoning districts. So the applicant is looking to rezone it to the less intensive use, zoning district RC, in order to allow the vehicle sales use. The current lot, however, did not meet or does not meet the minimum requirement of 1 acre lot size in the RC zoning district, since it is, again, just under half acre in size. However, the applicant did receive a variance from the Board of Adjustment to reduce that lot size requirement. So applicant is also moving forward with platting and will have to come forward as well with a conditional use permit. So we just have the rezoning here before you at the moment. Looking at this, again, like with the previous agenda item, there's a mix, again, of light industrial, RC, regional commercial zoning throughout these areas along 40 Highway. So this area certainly is, it is applicable to have and appropriate to have RC zoning in this general area. Again, with the reduction in that minimum lot size by the Board of Adjustment, therefore it does meet other thresholds for RC zoning. Again, with that, you can see through the staff report, staff gave kind of background information on that as it just went through, and staff does recommend approval as noted. Certainly stand for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Are there any questions for Mr. Allen? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
All right, thank you.
If I could please have the applicant or the representative come forward.
Good evening.
You solemnly swear the testimony about taking this case to be the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. As always, it's a pleasure to be before a group of citizens who have the opportunity to make decisions that affect the community, whether it's on this or any other application. I always find that very enjoyable in all circumstances. We're here tonight because of the events that so often overtake cities when older areas of the city seek a different development standard. When this lot was originally laid out sometime over 25 years ago, just about everything in the city was either GB, light industrial, or industrial. We just didn't have the subcategories. And so when it was laid out, it was small in nature under the belief that it could be put to just about any use that one could imagine. Of course, is events have developed. You may remember that a number of years ago, a couple of used car lots sprung up at sites that people didn't think they would, and they were made a conditional use. But they were also tucked in as the regional commercial prospects came along, that they had to be a conditional use in regional commercial. So we found ourselves with the circumstances that many uses that would have been allowed under the previous GB no longer were existent. This small lot probably never would have been developed nowadays because of the size, the setbacks, all the requirements that exist in the city. They would have known then that it was probably not a commercially viable lot at that size, at that location. Only very few things could go there. And the one that happened to fit in it was a Sonic drive-in. However, that Sonic has not been commercially successful. No matter how many Cherry Cokes my family may have bought, it just didn't make it. And the lot now is empty, and unless another drive-in or something that only needed a small building with circular traffic patterns so that it could meet the setbacks comes along, it will probably lay fallow for a number of years. It's just hard to imagine what could go in there that would be commercially viable. My client has a prospective individual who's interested in putting a used car lot in. We understand that we're not here about that tonight, that would require a conditional use in your additional consideration. So if you approve the regional commercial tonight, you're not approving the used car lot, but we wanted to be quite open about what our intent is going forward. The regional commercial, as the staff report notes, is desired, I believe, by the comprehensive plan, so that would bring this lot into conformance with the comprehensive plan, which of course is the guiding tool of city development. So we're here tonight asking for your approval for a regional commercial in this, with an eye that we will then make the appropriate applications to come forward and seek additional approvals. Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Mr. Grounds. Although we all know who you are, would you mind just stating your name and your address for the stenographer for the record?
Greg Grounds, and I live at 1401 Northwest Wildwood Drive in beautiful Blue Springs, Missouri.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for Mr. Grounds? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there anyone else in the audience who would like to testify in support of this petition? Seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to testify in opposition or have comments pertaining to this petition? Seeing none. I'll call it back up before the Plan Commission. Any comments that you'd like to place on the record before I close the public hearing? Okay, seeing none. This public hearing is closed. Looking for a motion? Mr. Billups.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to recommend approval of RZ 09144585, the rezoning for Toyo Motors.
Thank you. Second by Ms. Banks. Roll call vote, please.
Planning Commissioner Wallace.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bartolotta.
Aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Abbott.
Aye.
Chairman Trozen.
Aye. The motion is approved, and recommendation for approval for this rezoning will be forwarded to the City Council. Okay, next item on the agenda is preliminary plat, PP-09-14-4586, Toyo Motors. Mr. Allen?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. As you can see, the map on the screen there, I think, points it out fairly well. Applicant is just looking to plat this as a one-lot subdivision. And again, it's, as Mr. Grounds had noted, it is an older lot. They've been grandfathered in over years, and now it's moving forward with these approvals to bring it to current standards and conformance with those. And therefore it does need to be platted. So just before this tonight is simply the preliminary plat to do so. And as noted earlier, they will need to come back then with final plat and conditional use permit before Planning Commission in order to move ahead with their proposal. So certainly, again, stand for any questions, if there are any, on the preliminary plat.
I guess I do have one question. You had stated in the rezoning process that this will have to come before the Plan Commission for a conditional use permit.
Correct.
Is there anything on the plat that would be, will hold a condition to that process that may be changed then in the future?
There are 5 recommendations staff has noted. I guess the one in particular, platting again has to deal with the public infrastructure. Sidewalk will need to be installed as part of that process.
Okay.
But so again, you may see some more detail with the final plat as it comes forward.
Okay.
But that would really be the extent of it. I don't know if Ben, if there are any outstanding issues with stormwater or drainage or anything like that. So I think again, with all the utilities already existing to the current facility and such, it's really just that sidewalk that's kind of the outstanding issue at this point.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Allen? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward and make any comments?
Mr. Chairman, only that we understand the conditions that staff has put on, and we're in agreement. We have no problem with any of those.
Thank you, Mr. Grounds. Okay. I'll bring it back up to the Plan Commission. Mr. Billups.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of preliminary plat PP 09-1445-86 with the 5 staff recommendations.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Ms. Banks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next 3 items pertain to the M&M storage on the South Avenue, 404 Southwest South Avenue. So I've asked staff if we could go ahead and hear the reports on each one of those items, and then we'll back up and vote on them then individually. So with that, Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Before you tonight is a site plan design review, a preliminary plat, and a final plat for M&M Properties. It is located at 404 Southwest South Street, and that's located on the south side of Southwest South Street, immediately across from the intersection of Southwest 5th Street and Southwest South Street. Property consists of approximately 1.1 acres. It is zoned light industrial. M&M Storage is proposing to construct a residential storage facility. The plan is to construct 4 residential storage buildings each, and I'm going to go to the site plan real quick. Each of these 4 buildings in the back of the site are approximately 3,500 square feet, and then they intend to construct a 2-story structure in the front of the site, and that particular structure is 2,500 square feet on the bottom floor. Smaller building that is in the front will contain an office as well as interior storage type units. The access to the property is provided from Southwest South Avenue. It is located right here. It's currently existing, and that won't change a whole lot from what's existing today. The parking requirement for residential storage typically would be 1 space per 5 storage bays, or 1 per 1,000 square feet, whichever produces more space. In this particular case, it is the 1 space per 1,000 square feet, and they would be required to provide 17 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing to provide 5 parking spaces up in this area, and that is to service primarily the office use, and then, of course, for folks to stop in there if they need to pay their rental or if they're coming to lease a space or whatever. And then the remaining of their parking places will be along the fronts of these buildings near where the storage units are actually located. and staff has agreed to that as being probably the likely scenario for the parking. We did look into parking at other storage facilities, and if the commission is interested, I'd be happy to provide you with that information. They do meet their setbacks. They will be required. There currently is a sidewalk that is in front, that is, of course, along Southwest South Avenue. It extends almost to their east property line. There is a condition that talks about making sure that the extension of that sidewalk goes all the way to the east property line. They would have to do that as part of their building permit process. We would review it. Any repairs that would be needed would be considered at that time as well. The lighting being proposed for this particular storage facility is primarily building-mounted lighting. As a matter of fact, it's entirely building-mounted lighting. That's acceptable. It provides adequate lighting. Signage is not being approved with this particular site plan design review. It will, if it meets the current sign code, it will be administratively approved along once they submit it, along with their building permits, of course. And if they're doing anything outside of what the sign code allows, they, of course, would have to come back before this body and request an alternative sign permit. There is a condition that relates to screening. We are not sure, based on the application materials provided, where their ground-mounted or roof-mounted equipment is going to be located. However, according to the code, it does have to be screened, and that's noted in the conditions of approval for the site plan design review. Similarly, the details of a trash enclosure will need to be provided on the building plans and approved by staff prior to the issuance of building permits. On page 6 of 11, there is a table describing the landscaping. They are proposing an alternative compliance landscaping plan. They've located and focused all of their landscaping up along Southwest South Avenue. They will be approximately 131 plant units short because they will not be providing really landscaping for the parking inside the interior, I should say, in the drive aisles in here. And also the open space landscaping. There just isn't enough room up here to put all of that landscaping in. They also have stormwater detention, similar to their neighbor to the west, in the front of the building. And so their landscaping, and again, the alternative compliance landscape plan focuses primarily on this area. They do have some landscaping in here that works with a bioswale that's put in to filter storm water as it goes into their retention basin. To talk about the building design, let me see if I have those buildings in here. I'm not sure that I do, and if not, I can certainly. I think at this point, rather than go too far into the building design, and you do have from the staff report my comments towards the building design that was submitted, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand we have some revised building elevations, and I'll just let the applicant discuss those elevations. We really haven't had a chance at staff level to review those, so I will let them discuss that. Staff does recommend approval of the storage facility, and there are 12 conditions associated with that. Moving on to the preliminary plat, this property, again, is an existing piece of ground. It has never been platted, and therefore, based on the code requirements, they do have to plat the property. They have proposed both a preliminary and a final plat. See if I can't get that up. This is the preliminary plat of the property. Again, single lot subdivision, 1.11 acres. With the, excuse me for just a moment. I'll get to the preliminary plat. with the preliminary and final plat. As you can see in the staff report, we are recommending approval with 6 conditions for the preliminary plat, and I would assume with the final plat that that is similar. Yes, the 6 conditions would go with both. The only thing really noted in the staff report really has to do with the sidewalks. Again, I explained that during with the site plan and design review, but there is sidewalk currently installed along the frontage of Southwest South Avenue. There may be some repairs needed, and also it does need to be extended through the driveway to the east side of that property. That condition is noted, as well as 5 others. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Mr. Billups.
A couple of things. Just for clarification, the existing building is coming down, is that correct? That's on the site?
That's my understanding, yes.
And I know in the plat discussion here, you said there were no street improvements that were required or necessary. In driving by there yesterday, or this morning, actually, I think we all know South Avenue has gotten a lot more traffic recently.
Absolutely.
And the curbing and everything on that particular piece of property doesn't seem to be in real good condition. Would they be anything as far as bringing that all up to? It's there, but it's just...
Yeah, I understand. I've been out there
I think
several
the curbing will be addressed when they do the overlay program, which is, I think, scheduled for next year. So, but I can't quote on exactly what roads are going to overlay, but when they overlay it, they'll have to fix the curbs along with the overlay.
Because I know, unfortunately, we can't make the actual people responsible for the increased traffic over there make the improvements that are necessary, but South Avenue really needs some help. And
It does. I drove, particularly because of this particular proposal, I happened to find myself on South Avenue quite a few times and noticed the same thing. And again, I haven't looked at the overlay program for next year, but I'm sure South Avenue will be one of the priorities.
because I was really surprised when I saw that there were no street improvements required on this project, and I went over there and I said, oh, there is a curb, but I didn't even know it. So
That's correct.
okay, thank you.
Ms.
Mr. Chair,
Banks.
I did notice that I'm showing 13 conditions on item 5 and 7 conditions on the preliminary and final plat, unless it was. And I'm not sure if there was one that has been taken off of each.
Well, I'm showing 12, so let's go to the staff report in the because there are no conditions that we're really recommending to remove. And I see that there are 13 in this staff report as well, so the report I have in my notebook is incorrect. So there are no conditions on there that we're recommending to be removed, so it's just simply a difference between the report I have in the notebook and the actual report. So 13 conditions and 7 on the plat.
Thank you.
My mistake, I apologize.
Any other questions at this time for Mr. Hawley? If not, if the applicant would please come forward and state your name.
And you just want the site map up for now.
Good evening. My name is Paul Miller. I'm with Davidson Architecture and Engineering. Tonight, we appreciate your time and everything, and we'd like to just let you know that of the 13 items and the 7 items that we have for the staff comments, we do agree with all of them with clarification that we'd like to put on item number 10. And just to answer Mr. Billups' question and concerns about the curbs, we do intend to replace the driveway approach, which will take those curbs all the way around to the radiuses. So they'll be out into the street. There'll be new curbs out into those radiuses. So both sides of that will be a little bit better. And if you'll notice on the existing site, there are no curbs on the east side of the driveway. So that'll be all new curb and gutter and sidewalk. Excuse me. So at this time, I'd like to let the owner's representative give you a little bit more background on the item number 10.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah. My name is Brad Gilpin. I'm the representative for M&M Storage. The reason that Mr. Paul called me up here was to let you guys know on number 10, it states that you guys would like here. I'd like to propose. No, go ahead. I'd like to propose. We've made the changes that you guys recommended already, moving the 12 by 12 door on the east of the building to the south side, so it's not able to be seen from the road. On the front of these sheets I'm handing you, that's the revised picture of what the buildings will look like with the elevations. The very front page is what it shows. I'm going a little bit fast. I'm going to slow down for a second so you guys have a chance to look at some of that. Basically, the one issue that we have is the door. You guys have requested that it goes to the north side of the building. The way that this is laid out, as you can tell on the blueprints, is that there's storage units, that's indoor storage for climate control, and there's no access. We need to have the access for people to be able to move in and out on the east and west end of the building. So there's no way that we can get rid of that and move it to the front of the building. You requested 2 lights, side lights, one on each side. Currently, we need the biggest door we can, so we have a 4.0 door going on that end, on each end of the hallway. So it's only enough room for one side light, unless we get one unit and get rid of some of it. So that's the reason that we would rather not move our door or change that size. Do you guys need help with any of that, or you're kind of, you good?
We've got,
We'll see if we can put it up on the screen, and then you
I don't know how
can
to
kind
use
of...
So right here on the bottom, south elevation, you asked to have that 12 by 12 moved from what's the east elevation where it was, to the south side. We went ahead and did that. There's an awning on the east elevation. That's tan. It should have been green, but it'll be green to match the roofs on that awning. And it'll actually say the office. That way it directs people to come to the office. You guys got me all messed up right now, huh? I apologize. All right.
You're doing fine.
So the awning should be green instead of tan, as we stated there. Thank you, sir. And as you can tell, it's got one side light, and that's just depicted on the size of the hallway for people moving this stuff in and out. That's why we couldn't do a side light on both sides. We'd like to have more there as well. But if you can tell, can I get this over? If you look at the layout of the inside of the structure, is it dark? Is that better? We're good, Mr. Miller? As you can tell on the entryway walk-in, we're maxed out on the size of the doors without cutting into the profit of the actual indoor storage climate. It's not that big of a building. So it's not that big of a building to be able to know to put the door in there. I'm repeating myself because I wasn't on the speaker. As of right now, we had added on the front of the whole property a wainscot at the bottom to comply as well, which is the updated version. If you switch that page to the next page, that would be the one that we had originally submitted to you guys. So this is a new one. What's not stated, you guys are talking about any enclosures for the trash enclosures. If you look at the south elevation, on the very far side, which would be the southwest corner, there'll be an enclosure there for the trash and for any of the utilities that you guys requested at that point. Be screened off by PVC fencing. Any questions, comments or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the second floor, at least on the little plan that I had, it's calling for 1, 2, 3, 4 offices.
Yes, sir.
What's those offices going to be used for?
As of right now, we run a painting company out of there, and so those same 4 people are just going to be upstairs instead of downstairs where they're at in the building now. The proposed buildings that are there now is a house that was converted into offices, and they all just office out of that house at this point.
Are all the buildings, what is it, 4 buildings, are they all going to have offices on the second floor or just this one?
No, sir. The first 4 buildings are all 1 story, and they're all just strictly storage, residential storage. The first building, that's the 50 by 50, the reason the first floor is we wanted to put climate-controlled storage in there since nobody offers it within 30 miles of here, so. Any other questions?
Well, can you kind of walk me through, I guess? Let's look at the conditions that are in the staff report, because you made several comments that you have complied with those conditions. So I'm looking at number 10, where it talks about relocating the main entry door and providing single pane of glass on both sides of the door rather than just one side. That was staff's recommendation to provide panes on each side of the door. Is that been done on your new drawing? Because I just saw a single pane on the one side
Yes,
of
sir.
the door.
That's what I was stating earlier. Basically, what happens is when we put a 4.0 door, there's no way to put glass on both sides of it unless we get rid of one of the storage units.
Okay.
So what costs is that storage unit over here. Can you guys see that? It'll cost us a storage unit here. So we can't put another sliver because we needed to get us big enough door with access to both ends.
Okay, I apologize, I missed it.
That's okay. I understand. So we do have one side light, but not the second one.
And I'm looking at 12, you noted that you moved the overhead door, so I assume staff's okay with that compliance. And the one thing, and maybe we had a condition, staff has a condition providing the walkway to the main entrance with low fencing along the walkway. Has that been revised on the site plan that you're proposing?
No, sir, it has not been revised. I'm looking for some suggestions on that.
Okay.
Right now, the way it stands is, you had it pulled up before on this, because it just has all the parking, comes up to the parking lot, so I was going to show them. Can you pull it back up?
Scott. Mr. Chairman, the condition for the walkway really, one of the recommendations from staff was that they relocate the man door over to the south elevation, to the north elevation of the building, which that is not something that they've done. What they've decided to do is to keep it on the east elevation. Is that correct? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and if they keep the man door on the east elevation, there certainly would be no reason to put a little fenced walkway up to it because the parking then is right next to it. The idea with moving it to the north elevation and putting a walkway in was really just to make it look, have it appear to have a bit more of an entrance feature on that north elevation, which is really the visible elevation from Southwest South Avenue.
Thank you.
Give me 1 minute, please.
Okay, questions? Go ahead.
I apologize.
No
What I did was went next door and took pictures of it. They've done the exact same thing. There's no way to get a good front elevation. So this is Eternity Storage, which is just west of our facility. And as you can tell, the front of it, they have their windows in the dressing, the same as what we were doing. And then they do have an east-facing entrance as well, because that's the best way since it's such a narrow lot that we have to make a north-facing. With the climate control and with the way that it looks, it's better to have the access right on the end, on the east end of the building. Is that too zoomed in? No, it's fine.
It's fine. Are there other questions? Comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Banks.
just to clarify, on number 10, is that meaning that that should be changed to where there's going to be glass on just the one side? If we were to,
Commissioner Banks, actually, condition number 10, I'm just reading it on here, and it's recommending that they relocate the main entry door to the north facade and provide a single pane of glass on both sides of the door. Again, and then it also talks about recommending that the awning be placed over the main entry to add a little bit of relief and facade to accentuate the main entry. I'll just add a couple of things to that. First off, when they don't relocate that to the north facade, then all of a sudden that main entry feature really gets a little bit lost. I'm not sure the awning alone is going to do it. As you can see, where Elite Storage, there's a lot of differences, and I almost hate to compare the two, but where Elite Storage has really proposed putting, where they put their main entrance, they also put in columns, and they put windows on each side of their main entry door, and they also then put the overhang over there. That definitely looks like a main entry point, and it certainly accentuates it well. I'm not sure just adding another pane of glass on the other side of that is really going to do much. If you were to want to ask for the 2 panes of glass on either side of the door, there is a way they can do it. It just means it's going to be a fake window that's over there as opposed to a window that actually goes through. They could do that on both sides of the door if they wanted to. Secondly, if they're going to put an awning on it, the awning needs to be moved down over the door. If it's a canvas awning, I'm not sure what the awning is that they're putting over it, but if it's just a typical canvas awning, that probably should be brought down so it doesn't look so much like an eyebrow, but rather comes down and becomes a feature of the entry door itself. So those are my comments on that.
well, my other question was on number 11, when you were talking about the fencing along the sidewalk. Are you still wanting that fencing along the sidewalk then?
It's not nearly as important if they're not bringing that door around to the north side of the building. Not nearly, particularly with the parking lot right there. It almost doesn't even make sense to put the fencing.
Mr. Billups.
I understand what you're saying about the east side and putting the entrance on the east side. Because, yeah, we're looking at the layout and everything else. I don't see how you could not put it there. Because then that would require moving the stairs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. We try to move the stairs to make this accommodation. There's just no place to put the stairs. We lose a full facility, which is $200 a month.
But I would like to see something that breaks up this north elevation like a true, main entrance would do. Because, I mean, you've got just this flat slab with, some windows on the top and some, I guess you could call them faux windows on the bottom because you've got those different colored panels under there. Even if you were to put some shutters like they've done next door or something like that, and anything to try and to break that up a little bit. I don't know. It's just not very inviting to see just that blank wall there on that north side.
Yeah. Is that it, Mr. Billups? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did I stop? What we've done right now to accommodate was adding all these faux windows, which is quite a bit of money. We could actually turn something different and doing some brick or something, some look of rock in a design, if that would make it look better for you. I'd be happy to propose something like that, if that would help facilitate it, and get rid of some of those windows to less balance it out, or leave them and do something in the middle. Is that what we're thinking, putting something in the whole middle of the thing, make it look like an entrance?
Well, I don't want to confuse everybody and make them try and go around to an entrance that isn't there. But yeah, even something that would vertically break up that wall, if you had a couple of brick or stone kind of column-like features or something like that.
Well, Mr.
Or if, part of it was even popped out 6 inches or something like that under the roof line, it wouldn't hurt anything, would give it a break in that facade.
Are you kind of referring to this last page here? On the,
I'm getting
you had
ready.
taken that picture, right? And this is a picture of the one next door that has some features? Go ahead.
Correct. This is the one on Jefferson. This is
Yeah.
going to be the last picture I'll show you. But yeah, they've used the brick to kind of break it up to make it look more inviting. And so we can propose doing something like that instead of them putting down here at the bottom any. I can't tell it on that picture. I'm sorry, and I can't see it, so I apologize. Let me flip the picture. As on the last page, it shows. Can you see that? It shows how they just put a weight line for your wainscot, and they made that out of the same finish work as what we did the walls. Instead of putting any kind of rock, we just put different color down here, and then we can put some vertical structures in between it to dress that up if you'd like. Would that be more sufficient?
It would help.
Okay.
Like I said, if there was some kind of even a small bump out or something like that on part of it, it wouldn't necessarily have to change the roof line or anything, but could just give it a little bit of front, in and out going somewhere along there that make one of those offices, a foot deeper or something like that. I don't know how big your overhang is.
Those are all
there.
storages.
Well, the upstairs office, the office above. So,
Since it's a pre-engineered metal building that's already been purchased, it's hard to change any elevation coming out. It's what we can do with the facade. So I can get another update for you guys tomorrow. I can get something back over here and change that.
even something like this that would help. I'm just trying to prevent that flat wall, and I know it's not a huge building. I understand that. I'm just trying to prevent that flat wall going across there.
We saw the flat wall, and that's why we added all the faux windows at the bottom from the beginning, but there's not a lot of good stuff you can do with it. It's kind of hard to work with because you're going 22 foot high. Anything you do to break up that monotony of that wall. And at one time we thought we were going to put a sign up there on that side, which I haven't looked at signage compliance, so I'm not saying that's what we're doing. And I thought that would break it up and draw your eyes to it and let you know to come around to that side. But right now, since we can't move that door over that to the north side, if we look at anything we can do, I'll get some drawings put together for that for you guys tomorrow.
But if nothing else, if we could just add some pilasters or something like that on that elevation, that would help.
Okay, so So on this north elevation, get rid of the center window here and make it into a door entry look. Is that what you just said?
No, I'm not messing with those insets there. I'm just putting some columns up maybe around that middle window or something like that, so it looks like there's a.
So take another column like this that we have on the edge, do something to match, and do it in the middle here.
Yeah,
one on
do
each
it
side.
around that middle window, and then it kind of looks. Even if it doesn't actually bump out, it looks like it bumps
Just
out.
breaks it up.
Breaks it
look
up.
like it bumps out.
Breaks it up vertically rather than horizontally.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that revision then. I'll make something. I'll use exactly what we have already going here, and then do it on each side of this window to make it look in the middle like it bumps out. From the road, it'll look like that.
Yeah, that would help.
We can work with the staff on that. Absolutely. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Would there be any comments in regards to the other elevations, or is it primarily the north elevation facing the street?
Really, again, because it is a storage facility, it's right next to another storage facility. I'm not concerned about the other elevations. I'm really just concerned about that street view.
Okay, so then, if I understand, the applicant is willing to revise these elevation drawings. Now the question is, do we want to place that as a condition of approval? Do we want to have the opportunity to review those elevations at another Plan Commission meeting before a decision is made?
Mr. Chairman?
Or we'll just leave it to staff to
Yeah, is
review based
staff
on the
comfortable
comments
if we
given?
put a condition to add those and you to review it?
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the preliminary plat or final plat for the applicant at this time? Pretty straightforward, probably. Right.
Just a clarification.
Yes, Mr.
So
Miller.
on items 10 and 11, basically what we're looking for at this point is that we are okay with moving the door from the north facade to the east facade, and with the caveat that we're going to make some architectural changes to the north facade, as Mr. Billups has indicated, and we'll work with the staff on those changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So in addition, item 12, the walkway and stuff is out.
Item 11.
I'm sorry, item 11, that's correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so it's back up to the Plan Commission. As far as, first, let's take up site plan design review, SPDR-9-14-4557. Is there a motion with some revisions? Mr. Bills.
Mr. Chairman. Sounds like belting that out. I would move for approval of site plan SPDR 9-14-45-57 with staff conditions 1 through 9 and 12 and 13, and an additional recommendation to add vertical elements to the north facade per our discussion.
Thank you.
One of the recommendations was removing the door, moving the door to the north facade. Do you want that taken out?
Yes, that was one of the ones I skipped there.
Okay.
That was number 10 that I skipped over.
Mr. Chairman? Sorry, Commissioner.
Did I
Bills,
forget something?
Would you like to retain the second sentence of item 10 about requiring an awning?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I would also, in my extra recommendation, add an awning above the entryway at the appropriate height to match the doorway.
Second by Ms. Banks.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion with the revisions, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the preliminary plat, PP-9-14-4558. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Banks?
I make a motion to approve PP 9-14-4558, along with PF -9-14-4559, the preliminary and final plat of M&M Storage.
Second by Mr. Sanders. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on our agenda is the Plan Unit Development Final Plan and Site Plan Design Review, PUDS-9-14-4583, the Parkway.
Mr. Chairman, I think
We also need to provide a recommendation on the final plat.
Oh, I thought she included that with her motion. But thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you tonight is a request for planned unit development and site plan and design review, final plan for planned unit development and site plan design review for Phase 2 of the Parkway. This particular property is located at 550 Northeast Napoleon Drive, which is west of Adams Dairy Parkway, south of R.D. Mize, and north and east of Northeast Napoleon Drive. The entire site's approximately 9.4 acres. Consists of one lot, and the zoning for this particular property is GB in the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay, or GB ADPO. By way of a bit of background, and I'm not going to go over the entire background for this particular property because it does have a long history, but I did want to mention that the planned unit development concept plan was considered by the Planning Commission in June of 2013 and approved by the City Council in June on June 17th of 2013. The Appearance Review Committee first looked at this project and provided recommendations to the Planning Commission, which reviewed those with the PUD final plan, site plan design review for Phase 1 on February 24th of 2014. The preliminary plat application for this particular project was approved on January 13th, and the final plat was finally approved by the City Council on January 21st of 2014. The Appearance Review Committee also looked at Phase 2 of this particular project, and they really provided no additional comments from those comments provided in Phase 1. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, later in the staff report. A couple of key issues with this particular phase of the development. With the first phase of the development, condition number 2 recommended that the applicant provide a parking study as defined in 407-010D of the UDC, and that be approved with Phase 2. The developer has provided that parking study. It was attached to your staff report. The parking study was based on the Institute of Traffic Engineers information primarily. That is probably the leading resource for these kinds of studies. And summary of that parking, the parking provided is 129 spaces, is nearly 50% higher than suggested, which was 70 spaces. So again, that traffic report was included, or parking study was included with your staff report. Again, by way of a little bit of history, when the developer originally came in with this development, the building that is the subject of Phase 2 was intended to be memory care units, and after they've done some of their initial research and initial inquiry, they found that there was not a demand for as many memory care units as they had originally proposed. They had originally proposed, I believe it was 72. In this second phase, that was to be 40 of those 72 units. So what they have done then is instead assign this to assisted living. And in doing that, the units required for the assisted living are larger than those that would have been required for the memory care. So they're still doing 40 units, but those units within this Phase 2 are slightly larger. And when they did that, they increased the floor area ratio. With the original concept plan, they were approved to have a floor area ratio of 27%, approximately. I think it was slightly over that, but roughly 27%. And with this request, they are asking to increase that to 29%. They are allowed to do that under the ordinance, the PUD ordinance. That's not an increase in 5% or more in the floor area. So keep in mind that they are making that request to increase their floor area up to 29%. The Adams Dairy Parkway overlay allows them to go up to 30%. Again, going over some of the additional information, they are providing 277 additional plant units with Phase 2, which increases their landscaping to approximately 339.5 plant units over what is required, so obviously very heavily landscaped. The open space, the applicants provided approximately 45.3% open space, as can be seen in the chart above. So, the floor area ratio we just addressed. The appearance review committee comments, again, were related to those comments that they made with Phase 1 and the concept and the PUD final plan and site plan design review. They were very glad to see that the vinyl siding originally proposed was replaced with the more durable material. They again commented that they appreciated the enhancements to the facade of the single-story building and thought them acceptable, and that was applicable in the sense that this too is a single-story building. It is off of it is one of the wings, being the north wing for this. Again, they reaffirmed the landscape plan, the alternative compliance landscape plan, and they kept the comment that the landscaping should be added to screen view of the carports from Northeast Napoleon and our demise as best as possible. The building design is in keeping with the building design of the first phase. It was certainly shown to be this way in the concept plan, and they haven't varied from that at all. So with that, staff does recommend approval of this particular phase of the development, the last phase of the development. And there are two conditions, and the second condition really involves the conditions that were applied to Phase 1 to still be in force. And with that, I'll stand for any questions, and the applicant is here, and they would also like to provide a presentation.
Are there any questions for Mr. Holly? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
If the applicant would please come up.
Good evening. Tim Wilson, and this is Scott Allman with SWD Architects. We're at 315 Nichols Road in Kansas City. And we're here tonight, actually a couple years early from what the developer was planning to present our Phase 2 of the Parkway project. Jim did a good job highlighting the overall project. Oh, okay. Is that better? One thing that I would correct that Jim had said was we did actually reduce the number of units to 34 from 40 in the assisted living to help accommodate with the larger unit size there. We can go through the presentation here for you and kind of show you what is happening. I'll step away here a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. But, this is the area that we're submitting on here currently. This is the Phase 2. It would be the assisted living portion of the facility. Currently under construction out there now, you can see the independent living, which is kind of the Y portion, and then the memory care portion. They've actually getting the exterior walls up now. For a long time, they just had the steel up right here. But the site itself, as Jim explained, from a parking standpoint, we're adding the parking spaces at this end, but that's really, besides the building, the only change over the original plan that was approved. Here's our landscape plan. A couple things that we talked to Jim about as increasing our floor area ratio here, as we needed to accommodate the larger size units. A couple things that we've done to help offset that is we've actually got a kind of a public artwork area down here where we connect to the trail, and you'll see that here in a few slides. And then also in this area here, originally this was going to be a bioswale, and we've converted that to a wet bottom water feature with a fountain in it at that location also for the residents there. This is a floor plan, and you'd have to enjoy technical drawings to understand or enjoy this, but basically it's a racetrack, and the units go around, and we've got units to face the courtyards and then also units to face the outside. But this is, again, the assisted living portion. It's similar to the previously approved memory care portion. Single story. We've got the brick masonry along the bottom here, hardy plank, and some ephes above here, above our windows. A little different. Actually, why don't you go back there? If you can. Oh, well, I don't know if you really got to look at the front elevation there, but we changed that a little bit to provide some differentiation between the memory care side right here. On the memory care side, we've got the windows that go all the way up. So just to help provide some differentiation between the two functions of the wings there, we changed that entry elevation a little bit. Materials would all be similar to what we've already previously had approved through the phase one. This is the area where we're connecting out to the existing trail. This is actually coming off the south side of our site, so the buildings are back up here at this location. And then we've got this connection that comes down to the trail. And what they would like to do, or are proposing to do, is create kind of a little area of birdhouses and landscaping and benches here that actually connects with the trail right there at that point. So it would be, obviously, for the property, it's connected, it's on the property, but it's also usable by the public as they come down the trail. And that's pretty much the end of our presentation.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Mr. Billups. It's all right.
I'm one of those who likes to go down and look at all the technical drawings. So.
Okay.
And part of this is just me being nosy.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you said 34 units?
Yes.
And 6 of those are basically one-bedroom units,
mm-hmm.
and the rest of them are studios?
It's more of a studio style, yes.
And each unit has a full bath and a small kitchenette, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, because the drawings don't actually show all of those in all the units.
I think they do. Yeah. Could you pop our slide back up there? Or did you send a slide? Or
There's at least a couple of kitchens and a couple of toilets missing.
They may have been turned off on the layer.
Okay.
But I figured they were there. I just
They'll be on the construction drawings.
Yeah.
That's been fixed.
So, no. That's,
Yeah, like in a typical studio, here's your bathroom. Oh, yeah, right there. Help me. There's a kitchen that's missing right there. You can see it on this side of the wall, and this unit's missing. Good eye.
yeah, a couple of toilets missing too in some of the bathrooms.
Scott will take care of that for us.
Hate to be the
We
one who
also
got-
have, along with the kitchenette, there is actually a full commercial kitchen for this assisted living profile also.
And then
So
the
that they
the smaller country kitchen and the smaller TV lounge, is that like for
That's more.
Private use or something,
This
or-
is a similar function that we have in the independent living, and they'll actually bring in like a guest chef or something, and they'll actually work with the residents and cook recipes and teach them cooking and things like that. And it also is just a small gathering area for the residents that they can use.
I've been fascinated watching this thing go up. You guys have done a good job so far.
They're actually getting leases without marketing currently too. We didn't talk to the operator this morning, but last Monday morning, they were on our weekly conference call and they already had 2 leases. So they were pretty excited without soliciting and with how far along that the project is currently. You know, the people are interested.
Great.
I like the addition of the fountain and the water feature versus the bioswale. I think that will really add to the property.
Yeah, it'll look nice coming down the parkway.
Mm-hmm.
As you see it there. But we're fine with the conditions that staff has placed and ask for your approval.
Okay, are there any other questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for the presentation. Is there a motion? Mr. Phillips.
I would move for approval of PUDS 914-4583, Phase 2 of the Parkway, with the staff recommendations.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Banks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. All right, other business. The agenda states that we have a meeting scheduled for October 27th, so we have business on that evening.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do.
Thank you.
With the World Series.
There is no World Series game scheduled for Monday, October 27th. I did check that last week already.
Thank you.
I'm thinking farther ahead than just the last couple of games. So, yeah, seriously, yeah, there is no game scheduled for it. Now, again, if there are rainouts or something, I can't promise things wouldn't be moved around. So, but we'll see as that gets closer. And the application deadline for the next meeting is this Friday, so we'll see if we get anything else for the November 10th meeting. Okay, will be the meeting after that.
Are there any?
Chairman,
Mr.
I would just like
Ms.
to remind
Culpepper.
everybody that Saturday is the Shop at the Blue Springs Cop Dinner. And if you don't have tickets, I have some. But it'd be great if everybody could check their schedules and see if they could attend. It's $5. It all goes for the Shop with the Cop. Saturday. Yeah, the 18th.
Any other announcements? I'd just like to compliment staff as well as the staff from Independence and Lee Summit for the continuing efforts to host those Planning Commission workshops and bringing in good speakers. It gives us a lot to think about, especially that livability index that's going to be coming live here in the spring.
If I may mention, Mr. Chairman, the next approximate date will be probably sometime in March for the next training session, and it will be hosted by Lead Summit. So I've yet to decide on topics and such, but as staff, we're kind of discussing if we want to send out kind of a survey like we've done before, just solicit input in terms of topics and things of that sort. But if you have any ideas, suggestions, just fire them off as they come up.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Is there a second? Thank you, Phil. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.